Hey, good people. Hello, hello, hello. Guys, welcome back. It's 2024. Who's excited for this year? I know I am. All right. So, guys, today we got this great topic. And basically, we're just going to discuss interviews. Like, how does an interview look like? What's the process look like? And basically, so yesterday I went to this interview. And yeah, it was awesome. That's all I could just say. It was awesome. And I wanted to talk to you guys about it. So a lot of people are always really apprehensive about interviews, wondering like, okay, so what's this interview gonna be like? Am I echoing, guys? Do you guys hear me well? You guys hear me well? Am I echoing? All right. So people always are wondering, okay, so what's about interview like? Is this something to worry about? And first of all, like you've been seeing, I've been saying, USCIS is actually waiving a lot and I mean a lot of interviews right now. All right. So that's number one. But what happens if you do actually get scheduled for an interview? I want to tell you that if it's a raw interview, you literally have nothing to worry about. Okay, like I mean, you don't have anything to worry about if it's a raw interview. If your lawyer has done the proper job, and also if you've already been approved for your I-360, which is your main vow application, then once you get to your interview, literally you don't have anything to worry about, and that interview is just for the purposes of determining what kind of character you have, right? So that's what that interview is supposed to be for. It's not supposed to be for anything else other than just to determine like what kind of character do you have. Fraud issues, is everything like lining up about you? That's all that interview is supposed to be about. And so I say that to say, uh, most of our interviews, like I always say, usually are very short, and this one was no exception. We were out of there within probably like 10 minutes. The only reason it took that long is just they had to go through the application. They had to ask him those questions like, have you ever been arrested? Have you ever been detained? Had to ask him all those questions that are on the 485. Okay, have you ever been denied admission? If you've ever looked at the 45 application, it has all these questions. So they just had to basically go through all these questions to make sure he's not inadmissible for any reason. But that was really it, guys. Like literally, that was it. So, if you're wondering, if you're thinking, like, should I file for VAWA? Is this something that's for me? I'm here to tell you this. I'm here to tell you it's for you. All right. Uh, and so I just wanted to bring that up to people because I'm pretty sure there's people who are wondering or who are kind of apprehensive or like about your interview. If it's about interview, like I said, if your lawyer has done a proper job, if it was handled well, you really honestly have nothing to worry about at all. And I think that's what I wanted to say today. Now, having said that, let me start taking some questions. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions today? I'm gonna start taking some questions at this time. Today I'm using a different app. I'm actually using StreamYard to go live, so we're gonna see how this questions go. But you can go ahead and request to come live now if you have any questions. Let me see. Okay. Somebody said, "Oh wow, this is Destiny. I just messaged you and you're on live." Yay! If you want to call it that, yes, it's Destiny. Someone said I call the office, but no one answered. We have been getting so many calls, especially since it's the beginning of the year. So what you can do is send us a DM, send us a message of a DM. Send us a message of a DM, and we'll call you. Or um, or you could call us back. All right. All right. I think I may have to go live like separately on Instagram so I can take questions. Let's see. Are you guys able to request to come live? If you're on Instagram, if you're watching me on Instagram, can you let me know if you're able to request to come live? Because I'm using a different software today, so I want to just see, want to make sure um, that you guys are able to ask questions. Remember, usually take questions live, and that's what I'm about to do now. Okay, let me see. Is someone on Insta? Can y'all let me know? Okay, anyone on Instagram? Are you guys able to ask to come live? Let me know. I'm just gonna go live this week. Okay, guys. So I'm back. So at least I'm back on Instagram. I wanted to go separately live on Instagram. So guys, now I'm back separately on Instagram. And remember we were talking about VAR interviews, and I said that most times people are always apprehensive about interviews. And but when it comes to VAR interviews, you could take this to the bank because I've done so many now. And I could tell you just about basically how every VAR interview should go, right? There's always an exception. There's always those cases where maybe there's something unexpected that we didn't know. But but that aside, if your lawyer has done a good job, if your application was done properly, if your I-360 VAL main application was already approved, then your interview should be solid, should be easy. You should be out of there in less than 10 minutes. And the reason I'm very sure about that is because I understand how VAL works. And I remember my name is VAL Queen. So just let me just put that out there. All these other people, I'm just telling you, definitely the only vowel queen is me. I've been educating people on vowel for many years now, and I could just tell you that a vowel interview is supposed to be very short, very simple. Number one, because the interviewer is not supposed to ask you any questions about your abuse much. So the abuse, the things you experience in the marriage, those are really off topic. Once you get to the interview, that interview is really only supposed to be for the purpose of USCIS of immigration determining your moral character. That's it. That's all they're supposed to be doing when you go to the interview is just to determine do you have any criminal issues? Do you have any fraud issues? Are you is everything about you lining up as a person? That's all. Again, so at that interview, they're only supposed to be asking you questions about your criminal history, any fraud history. Are you lining up as a person? Is everything you said on the application, is it true? Does it seem to be true? That's all they're really supposed to ask you about at your VAWA interview. Okay, because remember your main VAWA application would have already been approved at this time. So that's why I said if everything is right, if your lawyer did a good job, if all is well with you, then your VAWA interview should be no more really than 10 minutes. And if it takes any longer than that, it's usually because either you or your lawyer didn't know about something. Maybe there was something you didn't tell your lawyer. Hint, hint. Maybe there was something you didn't tell your lawyer you did, or something in your past that you did, you forgot about, you didn't tell your lawyer, and then it comes up at the interview. That's the only time, the only way your VAWA interview is supposed to take any longer than 10 minutes. And this is coming from someone. I just went to a VAWA interview just yesterday. I had my first interview for the year just yesterday in Nashville. We're out of there again in just about or less than 10 minutes. And the only reason it took that long is because the officer had to go through all the questions on the I-45. If you ever looked at the I-45 form, it has all these questions about, your past, your history, when did you enter the country, have you ever been denied admission, have you ever been arrested before, have you ever been detained for it, all these questions. So that's only reason it took us even up to 10 minutes. Otherwise, it would have been out of there. All right. And literally, the interviewer had no questions about my client's marriage, had no questions about whether the marriage was even a good marriage, had no questions about whether the marriage was even valid. None. The only questions that they had were just the application questions, questions that asked things like, have you been arrested, have you been detained before, do you have any criminal issues, any fraud issues? That's it. So a VAWA interview should take you no more than 10 minutes. Again, if your lawyer has done a good job, if the application was done well, unless there's something we didn't know about, unless something you didn't tell your lawyer about, of course. Okay. That's the only way that interview should take that long. So I say this to encourage people that, you know, I've been saying USCIS is waiving a lot of interviews, but just by chance you are not one of the people, you are one of the people who are called for interviews, still nothing to worry about. Usually less than 10 minutes. Usually you're gonna get that approval in the mail sometime after that. If not, if they don't announce it to you right then and there, you're gonna get your green card in the mail after that, and you'll be good to go. All right. So another reason why VAWA is much better than adjustment of status to marriage. Okay. Hello. 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 I think this person didn't know they were coming live. So this is another reason why I always say VAWA adjustment of status is much better than adjustment of status to marriage. If that was an adjustment of status to marriage, those take a long time. All my pretty much, I mean, it's very rare for an adjustment of status application interview to go to take a to I mean the one that's based on marriage. It's very rare for those ones to take less than 10 minutes. They usually are up to 30 minutes, even an hour. I've been in one that took 2 hours. And that's because the immigration officer on that type of application usually needs to determine you really married this person for the right reasons. But for VAWA, completely different. We're usually out of there in less than 10 minutes. This is after attending many interviews. And again, just want to say this to encourage people that if you're filing for VAWA and they call you for a VAWA interview, as long as you have a good lawyer who's done their job, your I-360 has been approved, there's nothing you're hiding that you didn't tell your lawyer about, then you really have nothing to worry about when it comes to that VAWA interview. I see one question I want to answer before I go back to taking live questions. Somebody asked me, do I only do VAWA cases? No, absolutely not. But that is our major specialty. But we also do adjustment of status to marriage cases, which is what I'm also talking about on this live. We also do asylum cases, which I mean I've talked about on other lives, and then we also do some extraordinary ability visa cases. And remember, VAWA is the opposite of adjustment of status to marriage. VAWA is usually based on the problems in the marriage. Adjustment of status to marriage is based on the good things in the marriage. It's based on you showing that you guys have a good relationship. You're truly married to this person. You really love each other. You really want to build a life together with this person. With VAWA, you still have to show those things partly, but then it's mostly based on now the problems, the issues we've experienced in the marriage. And I always want to throw this in there to say that VAWA is not necessarily just an alternative for adjustment of status to marriage. Just anytime you're having issues, you need to file for VAWA. No, just know that even with VAWA, we still have to prove that this marriage was valid. It's just that there's ways around it. It's just that the requirement, the documents that are needed to show that you entered the marriage for valid reasons, they're usually less stringent on those for VAWA than for adjustment of status to marriage. Let me start taking some questions. I also want to say, I'll really quick tell you what kind of person qualifies for VAWA. When you hear VAWA, again, that stands for Violence Against Women Act. It does not mean that you needed to experience any violence at all. That's a misnomer. All right. And again, it also applies to men. So I've always said that I would say, well, it used to be 99%. Maybe now we're about 97, 98% of our clients are men. The other 3%, 2% are women. So that tells you that physical violence is not required. That tells you that your spouse doesn't have to have beat you for you to qualify for VAWA. That tells you that you don't need to have a restraining order for you to qualify or win for a VAWA application. It could be based on fully emotional abuse. It could be based on fully psychological abuse. So If you're experiencing anything like a spouse talking down to you, cursing you out, calling you names, spouse disappearing on you, a spouse making important decisions without your consent, a spouse hiding big and important facts about themselves, like them having a mental disorder, them having bipolar disorder, having schizophrenia, them having an STD, them having AIDS, them being gay or bisexual and you didn't know, them having fathered a child um, before marriage or even during a marriage without telling you. These are things that could very, very well qualify for VAWA. It could also be just financial abuse. Your spouse stealing your credit card, your spouse using your cards without asking you, your spouse withholding withdrawing large sums of money and leaving your account blank. These are some things that could qualify you for VAWA. So it doesn't have to be so extreme. And I always say that with VAWA, the very common marital problems like a spouse cursing you out, a spouse talking down to you, spouse making important decisions without your consent, even a spouse cheating on you. These are common marital problems, all the way to the extreme problems like a spouse beating you, choking you, like a spouse giving you an STD, like a spouse giving you AIDS, and like you finding out something big about your spouse that you didn't know ahead, before you married. Whether you're on the more common problems or the more extreme problems, either way, you still qualify. So there's a wide plethora of things that could qualify you for VAWA. Okay. And so in this year, 2024, if you're experiencing any problems with your spouse, and by the way, it doesn't have to be present, it could be in the past. So maybe you and your spouse are in a good place right now, but before it used to be toxic, before it used to be abusive, before it used to be crazy, and maybe you guys went to counseling and it got better. VAWA can also be based on things that happened in the past. It doesn't have to be something that's happening right now. All right. Let me start taking some questions. And again, it can apply to you if you're married, separated, divorced, and in some states like Alabama, Texas, New Hampshire, you don't even have to be married. You don't have to even be legally married. It could just be someone who's your partner, someone who appears to be like a spouse to you, but is not. You can qualify for that even based on just a partnership, depending on which state you live in. Let me start taking some of these questions. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Yes, I'm okay. How are you? I have two questions. First, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the first question is, do you do consultation on Saturdays?
Only when we're booked ahead, like when we're really, really booked. Not right now.
Oh, like booked for like how many weeks ahead?
Only when I'm booked like months out. Then and I'm trying to catch back up. Then I'll do that.
Okay, because I work Monday to Friday, so I'm trying to know if you have time on Saturday.
Just call. We'll see what we can do. But that's my answer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I follow you a lot, but I was talking to a friend,
okay,
and the friend was asking, can you do asylum after 6 years?
I have done it and won. It's not usually recommendable unless it's a really good case. But yes, it's possible to win.
So, okay, so can I tell my friend to book a consultation for that?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, bye. Just in case you guys didn't know, guys, for asylum, you qualify usually for some you're supposed to file it within the first year of entering. So that's why he was saying his friend has been here 6 years. Can you apply for asylum after 6 years? And the answer is yes, provided it's a strong case, provided you have a good lawyer, someone who knows what they're doing and can explain away why there's a delay in you filing. You can still win. I've done it and I've won it like for cases like female genital mutilation, or for cases where like you fled because of political unrest. If it's a strong case, it's very doable even after 6-7 years of being here, even after 5 years. Okay, let me take some more calls. Happy New Year, guys. Let me take the next person. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, and you?
Come on, I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
Do you have to get a divorce to do VAWA?
No, not at all. You can be and still qualify, but you could choose to remain married. In fact, you can even be in the same house and still qualify.
Okay, but if it's separated,
Does
what
that
if you want
doesn't
a divorce?
again that doesn't matter. What matters is what you experience in a marriage and whether it qualifies you for vow.
Okay, and how long does it take?
That I can only tell you in a consultation, schedule a consultation. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
More than hold on.
I only answer one question, sir. So if I
Only
start
one
answering
question?
like 5, 6
Okay.
questions, might as well be a consultation. Okay.
Okay, I got your number. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
Let me answer some questions here on my Facebook. Um, that I saw. Let's see. Crap. Um, how come I don't see the comments? There we go. So someone says, let me just answer some questions here real quick. Someone says, I'm a current client. I called yesterday. Also, okay, I don't know what they're talking about. How long does it take to get an EAD card after filing for violence? So EAD is a work permit application, guys, and usually it's the same amount for most applications. For most applications, doesn't really matter on what basis, whether it's based on vow or adjustment of status to marriage. Most applications, a work permit application is going to take just about six to 10 months. Okay, at least last year they were taking 6 to 10 months. This year they may start to speed up because because of immigration has been giving out these 10-year green cards. I mean, 5-year work permits now. Since they're now giving out 5-year work permits, and then they're also waiving interviews, I really expect processing times for work permits and for the green cards are going to speed up significantly this year. All right, that's my prediction from the different changes that immigration is doing right now. All right, let me take some more questions. Did you guys enjoy your holiday? Hello?
Hi.
How are you
Happy
doing?
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So I have a question about my case. So is it okay to accept the scholarship from your country if you already filed for asylum?
I've never thought about that. What does a scholarship entail? Does it have anything to do with you going back home?
No.
I don't think it's a
they're gonna
problem.
just pay my tuition and stuff.
Off the bat, I don't think it's a problem. I think you want to have a conversation with your lawyer to be sure, though.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Yeah, I'm one of your clients.
Okay.
So I just want to ask. I just got a notice for like prima facie or something. I don't know.
Prima facie, right?
Determination of.
Right.
Yes. So yeah, what does that mean?
Did we not explain it on there when we uploaded it to your profile? I think we usually put an explanation, but since you came, I'm gonna explain it.
Oh.
So prima facie just means they've done like a first review, just an initial review of your case, and they've determined at this time so far so good. So it's not necessarily an approval, but it's like a pre-approval. Like, okay, at this time everything looks good. All the documents were submitted properly. All the evidence we look for was submitted here initially. But later on, they will do a second review to kind of determine it, whether you really qualify.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have a problem with my payments. They blocked me from. They just sent me a notice. So they sent me a notice on my email, and I think I missed the payment. Okay. So I think that's why I could not see the something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you wanna? What you can do is you call and speak to Melissa. She's the one that helps with billing, and she can help you out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mama. Right. And congratulations. That's a good thing.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
All righty. I'm taking questions. If you want to come live, I've seen people asking me, how do I come live? You just need to jump on Instagram, The Vowel Queen, and request to come live. And there I take all questions live. I take any and all questions live. The rule is I only answer one question. So I just want to say that if you want to come and ask 10 questions or more than one, then usually I assume you need a consultation. I tell you, you need to schedule a consultation. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. Someone asked, how long does it take to receive? Receipt notices usually take a few weeks to a few months. Sometimes they can be a bit delayed, but they will definitely come. Okay. They will definitely come. All right. Just answering someone's question there. All right. Let me take these. I think this will be my 616. So this will be probably the second last questions that I take for the day. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm okay. What? I have one question. Mm-hmm. I have a domestic case, but my green card is about to expire.
Okay.
How can I go? But the domestic case, I have a 2-year.
What do you mean you have a domestic case? You have like a violent case?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like? Okay, just ask your question directly. Let me see what you're trying to ask me.
I have my green card is about to expire, okay. But I have a domestic case that
Have you filed? What I'm trying to find out, have you done anything to remove your conditions? Have you filed that application yet?
No.
Okay, then you can give us a call and we'll see what your options are. Yeah. And you want to move fast because that application is supposed to be filed 90 days beforehand.
Yes. I have time. Okay, I'll give you a call.
All right. Thank you. All righty. So it's 6:18. I'm going to take probably my last two questions live. What if one is already working with a different law you want to cross over to me? Depends on what part of the process you're in and is there anything left? Like if the other lawyer only filed like one form for you, like the I-360, then there's room for us. There's other things the lawyer didn't file that we can come in and file for you. So it really depends on, is there anything left for me to do as a lawyer, or has the other lawyer already done it all? And also it depends. I mean, like also like if they call you for an interview, you can always give us a call. We'll try to help you out. I'm answering the question that someone asked, what if I already have another lawyer, but I want to switch over? All right. So someone that was, Asika, how you doing? Let me take some more questions. I see a question. Someone said we filed the case in November and we yet to receive receipt notices. Receipt notices typically take about 6 weeks to 2 months, sir. So sometimes it could take a longer time, but they will come. Nothing to worry about. Okay, so this is the question. Person keeps asking about the receipt notices. Sometimes it can be delayed just like that. That's not a problem. Your receipt notices will come. Okay, they will definitely come. All right. And just so you know, if you ever want to call immigration, if you use the check, you can give them the check number and they will also reissue receipt notices that way. So your case is not lost at all. So that's the person. That's that person who's asking. All right. Let me take these last two questions here. Our last two live questions. And then we go. I'm just trying to see if there's anything I need to answer real quick before I take this last question over here. How long does it take to get your I-360 approved after prima facie? That is a consultation question, something I only answer in a consultation for various reasons. I want to create unrealistic expectations. Okay, so, and then also there's just some questions that I would get in trouble with the bar if I start answering here. It'd be like giving very specific legal advice, and they don't like us to do that. So schedule a consultation, we can talk. All right. Let's see. I think I'm trying to bring this last person in. Let me see if it could work. Okay. All right. Okay. I guess I'm not able to do it. Last question. I'm just gonna now answer here. Is a written question. Can you travel with advanced parole? Absolutely. I always say, by the way, advanced parole is just the legal word for travel permit. And I always say travel permits are given to be used. There's other law firms that advise otherwise, but legally speaking, there is nothing to worry about. Like if you don't have any criminal issues, you know for sure you don't have any criminal issues. You've never been arrested. There's nothing criminal. You haven't done any wire fraud. You're good. You don't have any fraud issues. You haven't done anything again like wire fraud, robbed the bank, nothing like that. Then you don't have any criminal issues. You don't have any fraud issues. You're not in deportation proceedings. I would say there's absolutely nothing for you to worry about. You can travel. You can. And most of my clients do, no problem. I just always say don't travel longer than don't go out there like longer than 6 months. Then or a long time, like 4, 5, 6 months. Then you start to encounter more questions when you come back in. But as long as that's not the case, I mean, you can honestly travel. All right. So guys, to round up, I just want to round up right real quick before I go and round up and discuss what I was discussing in the beginning. VAWA interviews are nothing to worry about. If your lawyer has done a proper job, that means the I-360 has been approved. Your main VAWA application has been approved. By the time you have to go to an interview, there's really nothing to worry about if it's a VAWA interview. And I've always said, and I say again, that most of my VAWA interviews, including the one I just attended yesterday in Nashville, they take no more than 10 minutes. All right. And that's because usually at that interview, they're only just determining, is there anything hidden about you? In other words, are they just trying to determine, is everything about you like what you said is on this paper? Like, is it really real? And is there anything that you're lying about? That's really it. So they're just trying to determine, is everything lining up about you as a person? Are there any criminal issues, any fraud issues? So once they determine, okay, that's not the case, everything is as you say it is, then they're gonna issue you that 10-year green card. You're gonna be out there in less than 10 minutes. After they go through the 485 questions, those questions they ask you: have you ever been arrested? Have you ever been detained? You ever been in jail before? You ever committed in prostitution? Have you ever trafficked a child? Those are the questions they'll be asking you that are on the 485. And once all that checks out and they determine, okay, everything is as they say, since this person is credible, that's basically it. Then they're going to issue you and approve your application. They're going to approve your green card application, and they're going to send you that green card in the mail. This is my experience with all my VAWA interviews. The only exception I've had, the only time it's gone different or more than 10 minutes is, again, if something comes up that you didn't tell me about, you didn't tell your lawyer about, that you should have told me about. You did something in the past that you never told anybody about. Ding, 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 ding. Then it comes up at the interview. That's the only time that VAWA interview is supposed to take, or is going to take, more than 10 minutes. So, hint, hint, talk to your lawyer. Let me just use this as a time for selfish plugs. Talk to your lawyer. Before you go to your interview, let me just use this as a great time to say this. Whether I'm your lawyer or not, whether you have a different lawyer, whoever is your lawyer, you better trust your lawyer enough to tell them everything. Tell them. Have you ever, stated on an application that you're a U.S. citizen when you're not? Is there a time that you were charged with something? Have you ever been charged with rape before? Have you ever come close to raping a person before? Does the government think you came close to raping a person before? I'm being dramatic for a reason. These are things you might want to tell your lawyer before we get to the interview. All right? Because these are the only things that will make your interview longer than 10 minutes and can stand in the way of you getting a green card once your I-360 is approved. I always tell my clients, once we get that VAWA approval, that I-360 VAWA approval, unless something comes up that I don't know about, that's exactly how I say it, you should definitely get a green card at this point. Once this I-360 is approved, unless something comes up that I didn't know about, that you needed to tell me about, that's the only thing that could come in the way of you getting this 10-year green card. In other words, is there something hidden that you never told somebody? That's the time you want to tell your lawyer. Because when we get to the interview, it's too late for me to try to cover up for you. It's too late for me to try to figure out how to come up with an explanation for something you never told me about that you did, or that you're in a situation you are in. Make sure. And that's why trust is so important. You definitely want to hire a lawyer. Outside of hiring a lawyer that's competent, do hire a lawyer that's competent. Do hire a lawyer that knows what they're doing. Do hire a lawyer that knows VAWA. But most important from them all, do hire a lawyer that you trust. Because you got to trust that lawyer enough to be able to tell them your deep secrets, your deep, hidden, dark secrets. I'm making a joke out of it, but I'm being serious. You have to be able to trust your lawyer enough to tell them these things. Because otherwise, we get to the interview and we're screwed, and I find out something that you never told me about. Or the officer brings up something, and then now I'm scrambling on how to figure out how to get you out of this mess she never told me about. Okay. So aside from us finding out something we didn't know about, and by the way, there's a small percentage of clients maybe who forgot. Small percentage, but most times you remember, you just didn't tell me. But a small percentage of clients maybe had something in the past, forgot about, or maybe didn't think it's a big deal, and then it comes up at the interview. Very small percentage. All right. That's the only time you have something to worry about when they call you for our interview. All right. And I say this to answer the question people always ask me, is it better to get a green card from VAWA or to get a green card from adjustment of status to marriage? I always say VAWA, again, because I just told you why. Because our interviews, even the interview will tell you VAWA is easier and better. Now, the interview I just went to yesterday was a VAWA interview. Had that been an adjustment of status to marriage case, usually it takes at least up to an hour, sometimes even longer. Adjustment of status to marriage is just always going to be longer. They have much more they want to find out. They really want to drill you and your husband, or you and your wife, to find out, is this marriage valid? That's if that was an adjustment of status to marriage case. But with VAWA, it's total opposite. Yeah. And I think I'll end there. So guys, remember, you qualify for VAWA if you're separated, married, divorced, or even if you're annulled from marriage, or even if you've never legally married, if you're in a state like Texas, Alabama, New Hampshire, and you and your person portray yourself to be as if you're a married couple, you own businesses together, you have children together, you act like you're married, and then you have criminal issues, then I think in that case, you qualify. You may possibly qualify for VAWA, of course. All right, and of course, there needs to be toxicity in the relationship. It needs to be based on the problems in the relationship. That's the difference between VAWA and adjustment of status to marriage. All right. Remember, we also do adjustment of status to marriage, by the way. So if you're in a perfectly great, awesome relationship with your spouse, do give us a call. We can help you adjust your status to marriage as well. We also do asylum for people who are fleeing their home country due to unrest. Classic example right now is the whole Israel situation, Israel and Palestine. Anyone in that area right now could come and make a killing. That's the wrong word to say. Could make a good asylum case and win. Anyone right now who's coming from Israel, Palestine area, Gaza Strip area could easily come, file for asylum, get it approved, and then get into a green card from there. Guys, look out for our testimonials. This year we're going to be doing much more testimonials. We always send them over email, but if you'd like to be a recipient of our regular testimonials that we send twice a week, that are written testimonials, then just give us a call and then give us your email, and you'll be a part of those. But this year we're going to definitely be sending more, even more video testimonials. So I'm so excited to do that. That way you'll see I'm not just a talking drum, right? You can see for yourself. You'll be able to see for yourself this year more than ever that we really know what we're doing, that we really are the VAWA Queen, that there's a reason why I'm called VAWA Queen. that I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I've been doing lives for so long. That's why I can be able to come and just take questions live on the spur. I've been doing lives so long. Been educating the community on immigration issues for so long. But this year I'm excited you'll be able to see that for yourself. All right, guys, that's it for today. Share. Someone asked, "Is this live saved?" No, but I always replace. I not replace. We all usually cut them into 1 minute and replay, or you can always come back and replay. It's always gonna be on our profile. Bye, guys. Share with anyone you know needs to hear this message. Bye. All right. Let's see. Is there anything I need to ask here? Washington, I think, is not a common law state. I have to remember. I don't think so. I had to check. But Monica, if you are in Washington and you think you qualify for VAWA, just give us a call, schedule a conversation, and we'll talk more. Bye, guys.